All right, so welcome to District 4. We are to the point with information and news. I am your host, Alef. We are talking, I think I'm going to call it the miseducation of women. Although I did a series on TikTok, it was called Women of the World Today, and it was live. And I can't do lives right now, but I didn't try it out on YouTube because there's generally different content here. But I feel like there's something editorial to be said about uh, this situation that women have found themselves in today. I'll say it that way. And I feel like we're lost. I'm not the only one. I have had discussions with many women, some that I knew and some that I didn't know, that sort of spoke to this fact that there was such an unclear understanding about women empowerment. That when you reach back to ERA, they're not even sure if they were clear on what ERA actually was. So I say all that to say that I've had these discussions for so long, and I started that series on TikTok because I wanted to sort of take us back to move us forward. Now, I didn't get slammed by some feminists when I started talking because it was very more of a traditionalist type thought process. And they fear, the fear for them is that you'll take them back into, the olden thought processes where they felt they were limited in. Wasn't necessarily true. It's to help move you forward. It's to keep you from going off the rails as we have been doing lately. We can all agree, and if you don't, let me know, that we've lost our way as women. Very few of us are women, and there's even fewer ladies. Now, this is not to slam my own gender or to act like that's all inclusive of every person. We all know that there's exceptions. But we do want to talk about how we sort of gotten to this point. When I look back, I'm looking at it now, on the originators of ERA, I actually in college did speak and do research on the Equal Rights Amendment as it applied to women. And the woman that had found it actually said, yeah, this is not what we started it for. So I don't know where it's going now. And I feel like if you ask some of the starters of that, if you can go back and find research or if you know any of them, they'll tell you that. Many of them said the same thing. If you fast forward, you have to remember that in between ERA and where we are today, which is completely lost, there was women empowerment. It sort of diluted the original thought process of ERA as things like this tend to do if we don't regulate them. So let's start with just understanding, and I'm getting this from National Archives. What was the women's rights, the Equal Rights Amendment? Where did that start? And I'm going to read without my glasses, so bear with me. It says 3 years after the ratification of the 19th Amendment. Now that is a derivation, right? 19th Amendment. Look that up so you'll know what's happening with that. The Equal Rights Amendment, ERA, was initially proposed in Congress in 1923, okay? In an effort to secure full equality for women. It seeks to end legal distinctions between men and women in terms of divorce, right? Property, and other matters. If it was 1923 and a little bit around that time, could you get divorced really without being bankrupt financially or needing to rely heavily on your family or to find another mate? You couldn't vote back then because women did not have that legal right. But if you fast forward to today and you speak to a younger woman, a younger lady, I'll call her, and you ask her, what's ERA about? They're probably going to give you a very collective definition of many different rights put together into that one meaning of what she believes ERA is. And I know that because I've had done it. I've asked them, what's ERA? And they'll say, I don't know, men don't tell us what to do, the right to do what we need to do. I mean, this group had a whole bunch of answers. And none of them had anything to do with ERA. I mean, they had something as if they sounded similar, but they weren't actually what ERA stood for. If you ask a woman empowerment generation, it's usually an Xer, and you ask her, what was women empowerment about? They're going to mix that in with, no disrespect to LGBTQ now, I think, community. But they're going to mix some of those beliefs in with the ERA belief, and then they're going to say, and we don't we're not subservient to men, and then they're going to throw out a bunch of stuff that they believe is a feminist thought process. And where did that come from? We have to ask ourselves. And is it accurate? Because if you ask someone that was actually involved in the women's empowerment movement, it's not. Let's deal with some realities, and I want to not make this video too long because I just want to throw these concepts out editorially speaking. As women today, we speak in quiet about how lost we are. There was a time when we were talking about we could bring home the bacon, we could fry it in a pan, I say that so often to remind us as women that we were not doing all of that. Even though we gave the impression to ourselves that we could. If you look, even we were telling ourselves that, if you look back at, I think it's called Baby Boom, is an old 80s movie right around women empowerment time. And it has one of my favorite actresses in it. I want you to look it up, so I'm not going to tell you. I always make you look stuff up. And you get the concept that her life suddenly changes. She's this corporate lady, and she gets a baby out of nowhere. And in reality, her life completely changed. Even in the middle of women empowerment, when we were talking about we were doing it all, we were also secretly admitting that we weren't. But we weren't going to say that out loud. And this helps to confuse our later generations who come in with, I don't need a man. This became a thing. Now, I don't need a man is probably true for some of the people. Because if you mix it in with LGBTQ, which we did, again, no disrespect to anybody in this community, but as a traditional, an ERA woman, the agenda was different. But we went ahead and mixed it all in, and it translated into, I don't need a man. I don't know how that translation happened. I can tell you how it happened. You ever play telephone? It's an old game. They play it now on TikTok, but it's dance moves. Like they'll do one dance move and then another one will do a dance move and add on to it, but no one's looking until you show the combination. And then at the end, the last person's supposed to do the entire combination. And I have yet to see it in all of the videos that I watch because they make me laugh. Somebody do the combination exactly right. It never happens. By the second person, they're actually doing stuff wrong because you can't get it in that way because you start mixing in stuff that you believe to be true with what actually happened, to the point where when you go back and look at the whole thing, you've gotten way off track. So I feel as women, we have gotten off track. And it was because we sort of misunderstood, what was happening in the first place. ERA did not mean leave your family. ERA did not mean you could raise children without a man. ERA did not mean you challenge a man. It even says equality through legal. It doesn't say you are equal to a man and a man is equal to a woman. They're not even making that comparison because that's an apple and an orange. They both serve a different purpose. They both have a different flavor. We are intended to do different things. And I hate when I look at women today and we're so confused. Myself included. I look sometimes, I'm like, what am I supposed to be thinking right now? Where are we supposed to be at? Because I'm looking at these younger women and they're completely all over the place. And they can't explain what they are supposed to be practicing. Even when I spoke to the feminists, and I was very respectful to their opinion because I'm like that. I'm respectful to your opinion. It doesn't have to agree with mine. they weren't clear. They were literally giving a collective of ideas that if you researched each of those ideas, they were all separate. But how they heard it, this particular group, this is not to speak for every ERA or every feminist, but they heard it in a different pattern, and they decided to put all this stuff together. They heard pieces of stuff. So what I wanted to do in that series, and maybe if I get a chance to do it here, is to clarify. Let's find out where we were to see where we can go. We need to be somewhere, but it's not where we are. And right now, we don't have the directions to get us there. So I started that series for that reason. And I'm going to hopefully finish it here. We'll see. We'll see how much information everybody can actually take, because it's a lot, and I get it when I'm telling people new information or stuff that's maybe a different section of the brain. If we look at it, in not a better section, just a different section of the brain, that it's working muscles that you're not usually using. So it's kind of like, But I promise you, if you fact check me, you'll start to see as I go into it exactly what I just did research. Really, and if people are going to say religiously speaking, and I don't even necessarily mean it that way. I am very much an advocate for people that follow the Bible. Very good for you. Very traditional. You kind of have a direction on where you want to go. But everybody's not like that. There are some people that are atheists. They don't follow the Bible at all. They don't not only not follow the Bible, but they're not even going to listen to somebody who does. So, and then there's people that sit in the middle. But I wanted to reach everybody, because we are all missing love and intimacy. We don't know why. We're missing it because women aren't teaching it. That's our job. It is my belief, right? That's our job. We're here to love and to teach intimacy. As far as being a mother with our mates, even sometimes at work, if you can do it in a certain way. To get back to being feminine. Because we need that. Not feminine in the shallow sense. Strippers and porn stars and these types of things. No disrespect to those professions. I don't have a problem with them. But not the physical part is what I'm saying. Not feminine women as far as what you look like. But I mean feminine and being a real woman as far as, I think people abuse the word classy all the time. Oh, this is so classy. I think what they're trying to say is she's very womanly. She's very feminine. She's very much like a lady. And I think that interpretation is going to be very different. And I think that we need to figure out what that is. And just by doing research. All I'm going to do is give you facts. Now you can interpret them. We can discuss and talk about it. And we can go from there. But what I would like to do is just start the conversation. It's the truth, right? All right, I'll let you sit with that, because I'm probably going to get, probably going to get a whole new set of hate mail. But I am not putting anybody down, and my attempt is to help lift us up. We do enough of putting each other down. What I really want us to do is to learn the difference between being a woman and being sort of like a girl woman. I love Tony Gaskins. You'll hear me quote him all the time. He calls immature guys man boys. It is my favorite term. And I'm not talking about men here, so I'm not going to use it here, but I think it can apply to women. I don't know what to call them, but you're in a woman's body, but your mind and your heart and everything else has not developed maturity wise. And so I'm trying to get us to the point. There's some women out there that still fight. I mean, they're like 45, but they'll kick up a scrap in a minute. And it's kind of like, what are we teaching? Like, should we be doing that? And especially if we're mothers. Like, and some people are like, oh, yes, but can we rethink that a little bit? I mean, to protect yourself is one thing, but to just kick up a scrap, my term, kick up a scrap, may not make as much sense if you're trying to teach people how to be loving. To teach it, you have to have it. To teach empathy, you have to have it. And to be kind, to learn it, to experience it, you have to have had those experiences. Kindness isn't like being nice. You can be nice and be fake, but you can't fake being kind. That just comes out naturally. All right, think about it. I'm concerned with this one. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys. We're trying to get those videos out there. We're trying to get them to you, because that's always another challenge when you have a newer channel, is to get the videos to the people and that help you find the channel. So we're still in the process of doing that. But make sure you subscribe. It's good stuff, and it's information and news. So this is the information part of it, in an editorial sense, where there's sort of a historic fit to it, and where we're sort of giving facts rather than taking an emotional stance or a religious stance, for lack of a better description. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys. Mwah.